Hello students, let's learn phrases and clauses and let's solve the exercises. Also, I would request you to clear your doubts today. Now, let me first once again say you what is a phrase. A phrase is a group of words with a meaning. But we have to keep it in mind that phrase doesn't contain any verb. Let's read the definition that is written in book. The unit in a sentence comprising a group of words which helps in forming a sentence but does not make complete sense by itself is called a phrase. Now see, there are 5 kinds of phrases: noun phrase, adjective phrase, verb phrase, prepositional phrase and adverbial phrase. What is a noun phrase? A group of words where the head word or the main word is a noun is called a noun phrase. Take the example from your book. My mother is happy. Here my mother is a phrase. Here mother is the main word which is noun or yes. So this my mother is a noun phrase. Now see adjective phrase. Adjective phrase where the head word or the main word is an adjective. Take the example from your book. Ria's sweater looks so cute. So cute is a phrase and cute is an adjective. So cute is an adjective phrase. Now come to this one, verb phrase. The head of a verb phrase is the main verb. I have been reading the book since last week. This have been reading is a verb phrase. Here head phrase is reading and that is a verb. So this is verb phrase. Prepositional phrase where the preposition is the main word or the head word. Rini went to the library this morning. Here to the library is a phrase where the main word is to. Its preposition of direction to. So to the library is a prepositional phrase. Adverbial phrase where the head word is an adverb. He walked very fast. How he walked? Very fast. So very fast is a phrase which is the main word. Where is the main word is fast and that is an adverb. So very fast is an adverbial phrase. Now though we have already solved these exercises, then once again I am repeating it. Here it is said, fill in the blanks by making phrases with the words given in the box below. The number of blanks in each sentence indicates the number of words in each phrase. See, microbes are quite very highly important part of food chain. Here we have made the adjective phrase quite very highly important. Next one, number 2, we are asked to frame verb phrase. Your outfit does not look quite appropriate. So, third solve. The natural beauty of Himalayas has turned it into an important tourist destination. So, it's a prepositional phrase. Number 4, the characters in Alice in Wonderland speak very hilariously. So, adverbial phrase. Tea plantation has a role in the Sri Lankan economy that is very important. Adjective phrase. The plot was very highly constructed. Yes. This is adverbial phrase. Longer battery life is very important for the smartphones. Egypt is an important tourist destination. The Great Gatsby is quite highly important acclaimed novel. Kashmir is a tourist destination. Now coming to clauses. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words with a subject and a predicate. A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a predicate. A clause may form part of a sentence or constitute a sentence by itself. Now see here, identify whether the following are phrases or clauses. Write C for clause and P for phrase. Those red roses, it's a phrase. Citizens of this country, phrase. We are proud of our tradition and culture, clause. Take your seats, it's a clause. A tall pile of books behind the basket. There is no verb here, so it's a phrase. The basket belongs to me. It's a complete sentence, so it's a clause. Anis spoke very well. Here also we get Anis is subject, spoke verb, so it's a clause. It might rain tonight. It is also a clause. Icing on the cake. There is no verb. It's incomplete, so it's a phrase. The last train of the day. It's incomplete. Only set group of words gives a meaning, not complete meaning. So it's a phrase. Rita catches the last train home every day. It is also a clause. The pink party dress. Phrase. Stuck in a traffic jam. Phrase. Our vacation begins this weekend. Clause. Final exams will soon take place. Clause. Now, see types of clauses. There are two main types of clauses. One is independent clause or main clause, other one is dependent or subordinate clause. Seek the example. All drives to work early. Ali drives to work early so that he can avoid last minute's rush. Here two sentences are joined together. Ali drives to work early, this is number one sentence, and added to it so that he can avoid the last minute rush. So this sentence, this second part is depending upon the first part. So the first part is independently clearing its meaning or saying its meaning. So first part is known as main clause or principal clause, and second part is known as subordinate clause. Okay. Now there are actually three types of subordinate clauses: subordinate noun clause, subordinate adjective clause, subordinate adverbial clause. Noun clause, in the clause that is either the subject or object of a sentence, is known as noun clause. A noun clause serves as a noun in a sentence or an object in a sentence. It can act as the subject or object or the complement of the verb or the object of the preposition in a sentence. A noun clause begins with how, that, what, when, where, whether, which, who, or why. It is also known as nominal clause. Now see the example in your book. What I did for you is known to all. Is known to all here is to this verb is the subject is what I did for you. So this total what I did for you is a clause and it's noun clause because it is subject to the verb is. Again the guard recounted how he had saved many lives. Now the guard is the subject, recounted verb, and how he had served many lives. This is the subordinate clause, and this subordinate clause is object to the verb recounted, so it is noun clause. Now come to this let's practice part. Identify noun clauses in the following sentences. Mention the role played by the noun clause in each sentence. One has been done for you. See the first one. I told you what I thought. I told you, the main sentence. Subordinate clause here is what I thought, and what I thought is object to the verb told. Number two, one must learn from what one experiences in life. Here, one must learn from is the main clause, and what one experiences is in life is the subordinate clause, and this what one experiences in life is object of the preposition from. Number 3, I know that he will come tomorrow. I know is the main clause, that he will come tomorrow is the subordinate noun clause. That he will come tomorrow is object to the verb know. Number 4, what is said cannot be taken back. What is said is subordinate clause and it is subject to the verb cannot. Now, number 5, do you know who was looking for me? Do you know is the main sentence, who was looking for me is the subordinate clause and this who was looking for me is object to the verb know. How the magician came out of the locked box is a mystery. How the magician came out of the locked box is subject and subject to the verb is and it is noun clause. So, it is nominal noun clause or noun subordinate noun clause. Number 7, I have no idea about why you are so upset today. Here I have no idea, this is main clause. Why you are so upset today is the subordinate clause and this subordinate clause is object of the verb object of the preposition about. What do you think is the cause? What do you think is subordinate clause and here it's subject to the verb is. An apple doesn't fall far from the tree. This is a main clause, so it's a simple sentence. There is no subordinate clause. Now coming to adjective clause. What is an subordinate adjective clause? An adjective clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a noun, means says about a noun. It begins with a relative pronoun like that, who, which, whom, whose. It may also begin with a relative adverb when, where, why. An adjective clause is also known as a relative clause. Now see the example in your book. Ravana, who was the brother of Bibhishana, was the king of Lanka. See, this who was the brother of Bibhishana is describing whom? Ravana, the noun. It says about the noun Ravana. So, who was the brother of Bibhishana is a subordinate adjective clause. Okay. Now, coming to underline exercise. Underline the adjective clauses in the following sentences and circle the noun they describe. Okay. Now see the examples. This is the school that nurtured me. That nurtured me is subordinate adjective clause and here the noun is school. Number 2. The newspaper that we read every day has got a new look. That we read every day is describing the newspaper. So, that we read every day is the adjective clause and it says about the noun newspaper. Number 3, I met our new neighbor who has just moved in. Who has just moved in says about the neighbor. So, this is adjective clause, subordinate adjective clause and it describes the noun neighbor. Number 4, the children who were lost in the forest were escorted home by the police. So, who were lost in the forest says about the children or describes the children. So, who were lost in the forest is subordinate adjective clause and the noun here is children. The school bus that was returning after dropping us home met with an accident. Bus is here noun and that was returning after dropping us home is the description of the bus. So, from that to dropping us home is subordinate adjective clause. Number 6, which is the tallest animal in the world is subordinate adjective clause and giraffe is the noun. Number 7, I showed my friends the photograph that I took last week. That I took last week is the subordinate clause and this says subordinate adjective clause and this says about the photographs. Minnie has not received the mail that you sent yesterday. That you sent yesterday is describing the mail. So here that you sent yesterday is the subordinate adjective clause and mail is the noun. The lorry which was carrying the relief supplies, supplies says about the lorry. So this part which was carrying the relief supplies is subordinate adjective clause and the lorry is the noun. Chumpa Lahiri, who received Pulitzer Prize for her debut work, he has published another novel this year. So who received the Pulitzer Prize for her debut work? This was said about Jhumpa Lahiri. So who received Pulitzer Prize for her debut work is adjective, subordinate adjective clause, and Jhumpa Lahiri is the noun. I hope you have understood. Now coming to adverbial clause. An adverbial clause is a clause that modifies the verb in the main clause or the subordinate clause to which it is attached. An adverbial clause acts like an adverb in a sentence, answering questions like how, when, where, why, to what extent, under what condition. An adverbial clause begins with because, while, as, if, when, although, as if, after, since, unless, until, before, and so on. Now, see this example in your book. He finished all his work before he went to school. When he finished his work? Before he went to school. So, he finished all his work is the main clause here. Before he went to school is the subordinate adverbial clause because this says about time. When did she go school? Before she went to school. She finished all her work. So it is adverbial clause. Okay. Now see what is there in next exercise. Identify the main clause, main and the adverbial clauses in the following sentences. See here. Wagandi walks a mile every morning. So this is main sentence. Before he goes to school, when did he or when he walks? Before he goes to school. So this is saying about time. So this will be adverbial clause of time. Number 2, please take some rest. If you feel tired, please take some rest is the main sentence or the main clause. If you feel tired is condition. So this is adverbial clause of condition. Ashish will call you when he reaches home. Ashish will call you up to here is main clause. When he reaches home says about the timing when he will be giving a call. So when he reaches home is adverbial clause of time. Shamim waits at the bus stop for his sister every day after school is over. When did Shamim wait? After the school is over. So this part is adverbial clause of adverbial clause. Subordinate adverbial clause. He came back home before the movie ended. He came back home is the main clause. Before the movie ended is subordinate adverbial clause of time. Mita can borrow my umbrella if she wants to. Here, Mita can borrow my umbrella is the main clause. If she wants to is condition. So, this is adverbial, subordinate adverbial clause. You must stay with us when you visit our town. When you visit our time is adverbial clause of time. Unless you walk fast, you will miss the bus. This is unless you walk fast is subordinate adverbial clause of condition. We need to finish our work before we eat. Here we need to finish our work is subordinate, it's main clause, and before we eat is subordinate clause. Next, if you need anything, let me know. So, if you need anything, let me know. This is if you need anything is subordinate adverbial clause of condition, and let me know is the main clause. So this is about phrases and clauses. I hope you have understood. Now you will be practicing in copy. Thank you, students.